In this video, we're going to use this prostate case to demonstrate how to create an APPA treatment plan. So the first thing we need to do is come up here to Insert, New Plan. Since I don't have a course created, I'm going to create a new course. I'm going to call it C1. Here you have the opportunity to name your plan whatever you like. For this demonstration, I'm going to leave it as Plan 1. If you have a treatment volume, in this case we do, we have a PTV volume right here. We can select that volume. If you don't have a target volume, you would simply come up here and select no target volume. Next. Since we don't have a reference point, we're going to create a new reference point. It will automatically name that reference point based on whatever patient volume you selected in the previous step. Here we can select our treatment machine. We'll just go with a TrueBeam. Here you want to double check that the patient position or patient orientation is correct. It will automatically come from the CT sim, but if it gets inputted incorrectly over there, it will be incorrect here, and it's important that this is correct. In this case, it is a head-verse supine scan. Okay, next it'll automatically put a beam on for you. So I'm going to again leave the ID as the default F1. And since this is an APPA plan with a target that's in the middle of the patient, we're going to go with a higher energy, 15x. Okay, a couple things to note here. Since we did select a treatment volume, it automatically placed our isocenter in the center of that volume, which is nice. If we did not have a volume and selected no target volume, it would have put this beam likely in the center of the CT scan. But if you don't like the position of that isocenter, you can come down here, highlight your beam, F1, and you simply click and drag and move this around. And you can do it in all 3 dimensions. So if you do want to manually place that isocenter, you certainly can. There's also some other tools. If we right click here, we can align our fields to a structure projection. So if we come in here and click our PTV again, it'll bounce back to the center of that volume. Okay, so next we're going to add a DRR and our MLCs. So in this top right window, I'm going to right click, set beam's eye view to F1. Now let's add a DRR. So I'm going to come back down here to our field. I'll right click, new DRR. We have a number of different parameter sets up here. If we click abdomen and click apply, you can see what that looks like. Bones, apply. We have different ones for different circumstances, but in most cases this top abdomen is going to be adequate. So we'll click that and close. Next we need to add our MLCs. So I'm going to right click again on F1, new MLC. Okay, so there's a couple different ways to draw our block. So we first need to draw our block. If I did not have a volume, what you could do is use this DRR along with your 3 orientations here to manually create a block based on anatomy. So I could use this shaping tool up here and then just start drawing the opening that I want. So if I wanted something that looked like this, you can see it opened up my MLCs to match what I just drew. If I wanted to change that, I could just redraw my block. And they'll bounce back there. If I wanted to change only, say, this X1 side over here, I would use this tool, select MLC Leaves, and then using your control key, you can select individual ones like this. Now, if you'll notice, only these green highlighted ones are going to move. So I can click, hold down the mouse, and drag them. And again, only those green ones that I selected are moving. Or if I come use my shaping tool again, and I draw a shape, whatever shape I draw, so I'm going to close around back here, but the MLCs are only going to bounce to the closest red line. So this zigzag line right here, as soon as I complete this, they'll bounce right to that zigzag, but only the highlighted ones will do so. See? They bounce right to that red line. If I again wanted them to bounce to this zigzag line, but I accidentally close around this way, let's watch what happens. They followed that line that I closed with because that's the nearest line to the MLC. So you always, this first line that you draw, if that's the line I want them to bounce to, you close around back so that they hit that line first and go to that line. You can also select one leaf and using your shift key select a whole range of MLCs, and again you can click and drag or use our shaping tool, and only these green highlighted MLCs are going to move. So that's one way to manipulate our MLC blocks. The other way, the more common way when you have a volume that you're treating, is to just auto surround. So I'm going to select my MLCs. I want all my MLCs to adjust, not just this highlighted portion, so I'm going to unselect those MLCs. Now if I come here to this far left tool, Fit to Structure, I can auto surround based on a margin. So if I want an even margin around my whole structure, let's say of 1 cm, I'll type 1 in, click Fit. Now we have a 1 cm margin around our PTV. You can also do non-symmetrical margins. So if I want 1 cm on the sides or these X banks, I can type 1 in. If I want a 2 cm margin in the Y direction, I can type in 2, Fit, and now you can see I have a non-symmetrical block right here. But for our example, we'll just do a symmetrical 1 cm margin. So our AP field is set and it's ready to go. Let's create our PA field. To do that, I'm going to right click on F1, New Opposing Field. All that's going to do is copy the beam and set it to the opposing angle. It's important though to, once you do that, you need to reset your MLCs again. So I'm going to again highlight MLC. I'm going to come up here to Fit to Structure. It's already set up exactly how I did the previous beam. I'm going to click Fit, and now we have a 1 cm margin on both beams. Okay, so we're ready to calculate our plan. Let's go to the Dose tab. We'll type in our prescription. Let's say we are doing 300 times 10. Our target volume is already set in here because we selected it while adding our plan. If you wanted to change that, you can use this drop-down menu to select your target volume. You can also use this drop-down menu to select your primary reference point. To calculate our plan, we're going to use this button up here, Calculate Volume. This one right here will calculate only one plane of dose. This one will do the entire body. Okay, to zoom in, you can do one of two things. You can use your control key and the wheel on your mouse, or you can use this this zoom tool right here, and if you just click and drag, it'll zoom into the box that you created. Okay, so our plan looks pretty good. Our default plan normalization mode is 100%, covering 100% of the dose, covering 95% of the target volume. That's typically what we would like to see on a PTV. So we can leave that there. You'll notice here that our plane normalization value is 200%. That's because it's putting 100% from each beam. So to put it back on a scale of 1, which is just easier, we can use our F3 key to bring up our field weights. We can type 1 in, apply. Now it's back on a scale of 1. So the first thing I want to do when creating any sort of plan is evaluate our field weights. So our field weighting looks pretty good. You can see it's pretty symmetrical. So I don't think I need to adjust that. But if I wanted to, again, I could use F3 to bring up our field weights. And I can drag my slider bars around or type a percentage in here. Click apply and adjust that until I'm happy. For this case, I think 50-50 looked pretty good. So that's it. We've created our APPA plan.